So today we're going to continue on with our React, our longer-term React app called News Site. And last week we did News Site 1. Today we're going to do News Site 2. Tomorrow we're going to do News Site 3. Thursday we're going to do News Site 4, so on and so forth, up until News Site 5 on Friday. And then next week we'll be covering something called Redux, which is basically a centralized state management system rather than each component handling its own state. If that doesn't make too much sense to you quite yet, it will soon enough. So last week we did News Site 1, and it more or less looked something like this. It's not especially pretty, but we just wanted to have we wanted to make sure that everything was rendering out to the screen exactly like we expected. We have a navigation component that's going to go up top. Obviously, we're going to get rid of these giant, ugly words. We had an article teaser, and then from that article teaser, it gave us the actual article here on the bottom. News Site 2 is going to look a little something different by the end of today. So let me go back to News Site 2, do npm start here. By the end of the day, you're going to go from what it looks like right now to this. I thought that was going to work really well, like this. Okay, and it's going to look a little bit nicer. So instead of having that disgusting like nav bar component up top, you're going to have a nice looking nav bar. This is going to be styled by React Bootstrap. That's a library that's built in. And then on the home page itself, you're going to have like all of these article teasers with the article name. And then the created at date underneath. Maybe you want to make it look a little nicer than this. It's up to you. The bare minimum is just getting this out to the screen. When I click on it, it will take me immediately to an articles page. Well, this should read articles/1, not articles/0. But it goes to, it's in each individual article. And I'm not sure why this is not working. Oh, I hard-coded it. I'll fix this a little bit later. Oh. It worked just a second ago. Am I crazy? Well, we'll figure it out. So that's where we want to get to by the end of the day. We want to get a large, nice-looking nav bar up at the top. We want all of our articles here on this page, so an article list. And then we're going to be able to click on each individual one, and it'll load up the actual article. I think this is articles/1. Well, we'll fix it a little bit later. I'm not crazy. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, so it'll take us immediately there. And what you'll notice about React is that when I click on it, it's much, much faster than going through an entire request and response cycle. Like if I go to a groupon.com, which I know is written in Ruby on Rails, if I have to make an entire request and then wait for the entire response to come back. Now, granted, it's only a second or two long, but it feels like an eternity when you can do things like this, when I can just click and it's immediately there, less than a second, less than a fraction of a second, to be honest. This automatically loads because it's loaded in your browser. So when you make that first request and get that response back, all of this stuff is already shoved back for you. And then based on your browsers doing all the heavy lifting, your Chrome, your Firefoxes, your Safaris are doing all the heavy lifting. So this is where we want to end up by the end of the day, and we want to fix this so it becomes articles/1. So again, I will walk through how to code this out, and then in the afternoon or whenever we're finished with this, you can go off and do it on your own. As I mentioned, we're going to be building up like a larger news site to get to, in the end, more or less like a New York Times kind of clone. And each day is going to build on the previous day's worth of code. So you want to make sure that you're keeping up to date. Otherwise, like today won't make too much sense. If you haven't finished News Site 1, you're going to have to go back and do that first. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to create one new component that's going to be called article, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to take care of pages and routing and things like that because there's routes on the back end. There's also going to be routes on the front end. If your API, if you have Rails operating as an API talking with the database, you're going to have a bunch of like URLs for that. And then if you have React taking care of your front end, you're going to have a bunch of URLs for that. How do we do that? So there's a few things we need to set up. We're going to copy over article teaser, the navigation, everything from day one into this source components directory of this current project. So I'm going to clone this down first. And if I open this up real quick, you'll notice that I don't really have anything inside of my components. I don't have any of my article lists or my navigation bar. If I were to npm install and npm start here, I would see pretty much a lot of broken stuff. So we're going to move over some of that information. So I just need to find my new site 1, which I'm not really able to find right now. There it is. React, new site. Let me just open up a new window. I made the mistake over this past weekend of listening to everyone talk about building their own computer. I just got sucked into a black hole for like 24 hours of like learning all that I could about that. So what are we moving over? All right, so we're going to be moving over article teaser, and the nav bar, all of that into this right here. So I'm just going to copy these 3 folders, just dump it into my new site 2. So once I've gotten that in, the next thing that's going to happen is that we're going to be using something from Bootstrap called nav. And because nav is a protected keyword inside of React Bootstrap, we're not going to be able to name our component nav anymore. So we're going to need to rename it to app nav or navigation bar or application navigation or something. The word nav inside of React Bootstrap is going to be protected, so you're not going to be able to use that. So we'll just jump in right here. See if this works. Cool, everything is broken. That is fine. All right, first things first, let me rename everything from this to appnav. So we'll do new folder. Oh, this is not going to be a new folder. We'll rename the folder appnav. We will rename all of this appnav.js and then appnav.test.js. We'll change all of this to appnav. Actually, we'll just look up the entire, actually, we won't do that. So I'm going to find every instance of nav and change it to appnav. Export default appnav. This one is going to be appnav from appnav. Okay, and I think that if all goes well and I refresh this page, I should still see the same error message. Nothing else is broken. Okay, so we've solved one issue. All right, and then it says copy over app.js from new site 1 to new site 2. So we're just going back in time. We're going to grab everything that's old and then move into the new stuff. So I'm going to go back into code Platoon, React, new site. I will grab the app.js right here and then throw it in new site 2. I'm going to replace it. If everything compiles correctly, let's see what happens. All right, we got a bunch of issues. It says nav.js does not exist, so we'll just jump into this place right here. We'll fix this up. AppNav from components. AppNav, and then we will look for nav. All right, and we have that same issue as before. First things first, it says that module not found Bootstrap CSS. So there's no, like this Bootstrap thing doesn't exist quite yet. We're going to need to add React Bootstrap into our code base, and then we're going to style it accordingly. So there's a bunch of, inside of Create React App, the generator from Facebook, there's an easy way to add React Bootstrap into your site. So all I got to do is just grab this, kill the server, and run it here. So I'm going to call out to NPM, have them install React Bootstrap, the 3rd edition, into my React app right here. This should be fairly quick. Move this over. And then while we're doing that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of this line right here and put it inside of our source index.js file. So there's our index.js. I already have it in there. And if I do npm start now, this thing should go away, and we should actually see something on the screen. As of right now, everything looks the same because we're just setting it up right now. Not too much is going on. And basically, now we're at point number 5 right here. At this moment, when we click on the A links in our article teasers component, so let's go back into, just to remind everybody of what's going on. Our entry point is at app.js. Now, app.js has a constructor. All the things that you need is going to be inside the initialize. And then it has a render. These are 2 functions that are going to be on every single React component. There's going to be a constructor, implicit or like explicit, you're going to write something. And there's going to be a render of what comes out to the screen. This is what's showing up on the screen. You see an h1 for nav component. And then I'm rendering an app nav right underneath it. Then I have a article teaser component, an article component, so on and so forth. Now, if you take a look at this article teaser, when I click on this link, all it's doing is appending like a hashtag at the end, which is not exactly what we want right now, but we just wanted to get something out on the screen. I appreciate your enthusiastic shaking of your head. Basically, we don't want that to happen. So we're going to modify this on-click event handler. So when we do this handle title click right now, all we're doing is just console logging the article ID. We're going to change that a little bit. We're going to grab this piece of code, jump down into the article teaser itself, and get rid of this. Oops. So basically what's going to happen is right now it's just taking us to hashtag, which is okay. Before it was just like, it was just passing the props back upwards. But instead what we're going to do now is we're going to prevent the default from happening, because the default, when I click it, it's a GET request. It makes a GET request, and then we're going to pass some stuff right back upwards. We're just adding this tiny little line of event prevent default. So first things first, to get our app looking from this gross ugly thing to what we wanted to get at the end, we have a new component called the article list component. And the article list component takes 2 things. One is going to be articles, like just an array of all the articles that we've stubbed out for you, and then a handle title click. So we're going to this article list is going to receive a list of articles. So we're going to jump into article list. This is our brand new one. It doesn't do anything at all. There's literally nothing going on here. But what we're going to do is we're going to map over the array of articles that we get to create a list of article teasers so that you have like an entire list, kind of like if you go to New York Times. Was New York Times sold to the Cook brothers this weekend? Or was it just Times? Times.
New York Times is owned by Amazon. No, Washington Post. New York Times too. It's just. It's just Times.
How do I get to just? I just want the list of articles. So these are all like a list of article teasers that you see on the front of the New York Times page, and we similarly want a list of article teasers to show up for us. So let's go. So for us, we know that we're going to we'll receive a list of articles in props, map over it, and create article teasers. So if I know that I have a list of articles in my props, how do I map over them? And like specifically, how do I execute JSX inside of this file right here? How do I interpolate and like execute JavaScript code? Okay, so I know I have that. At the very least, I have that. Okay, so how do I map? How do I get to my articles first of all? What's the first thing I type? Okay, the props have something called articles on top of it. So if I go inside of my app.js, I do, but I have a list of articles that's being passed down here.
What's the reading from?
What's that?
What's article list reading from?
So article list, we'll get to that point, but essentially, basically, the article list component is going to receive an array of articles. So you're asking where it comes from. We're going to eventually get to this, but it's under pages, under homepage. So if you take a look over here, it's passing in articles as news, which is just all the stuff from that JSON file. So this.props.articles, and then how do I map? .map, okay. It's going to take in two things. It's going to be, first thing is going to be the article itself, and the second one is going to be the index of the article. We're using curly braces for everything now, and then I'm going to create an article teaser of some sort. So it says the article teaser component requires a handle title click prop. The value that we provide should be the handle title click prop that's passed into our article list component. Okay. So if we take a look inside of article teaser, there's a few things that article teaser needs. It looks like I need to have handle title click, so I'll throw that here. It looks like I need an ID of some sort, title, and a created date. So I'll do that, title and created date. Where do I put these props that I'm passing from one component into another? Where does that go? Does it go up here? Does it go down here? Not sure where to put it.
Or are you trying to like list it?
Yeah, so I have an article list, right? That's an entire component, and that component consists of smaller components underneath that. The specific ones are going to be like an article teaser. So article list has many article teasers, so I need to be passing stuff down from the article list into the article teaser itself. So I'm mapping over each one of these articles. I need to pass down handle title click, ID, title, and created date into this article teaser.
You're creating
So from the list of articles that I've gotten past,
If you want to create another array with all that stuff in it,
this is already an array.
or you're making the HTTP.
So I'm going to be passing all these 4 things down into this article teaser. So I'm just going to do ID equals something. I'm going to have handle title click equals something. Title equals something. It's okay. It's the first day back from break. Created day equals something. And then we can get rid of this. All right. Now the ID is going to be equal to whatever the index is of the article that's being passed down. So I'll just do that. Handle title click will basically be this props.handle title click, because that was passed down to us from this homepage.js. So homepage.js created a handle title click, which passed it down into the article list. The article list is going to pass it down one more time into article teaser.
You know how we're getting article /0 should
Yep.
be index +1.
Good catch. I was waiting for someone to. I was waiting to get there later.
That's all I got.
That's okay.
That's all I got. That's it.
All right. And we have title and created date. That's going to be part of this article here. So I just do article dot, and this first one I will do title, and then the second one I will do article dot created date. All right, let's take a look over here. Does anything change? Absolutely nothing changes, and that's very irritating. But it says, don't worry about doing anything. We're going to wire it up in our next section. So we've set up our article list. This is everything that we need to get article lists to show up on the page. And then we're going to start using something called React Router. Now, React can take care of creating your own routes and stuff like that. You can write it yourself, but it's very difficult. So what they ended up doing is they created something called React Router. So you can kind of take a look at the code that we have here, and you can kind of get an idea of basically what's going on. So when we were doing things inside of Rails, we had something like get/home to home index or something like that. So it was basically saying every single time that anybody makes a get request to /home, the action that would take care of it is the home controller and then the index method. This is how we wrote things inside of Rails. It's kind of similar inside of React Router. Basically, it's saying anytime anybody makes a get request to / the component that's going to take care of it is going to be the handle index. And basically, anytime anyone makes a get request to /invoices, the thing that's going to handle it is going to be handle invoices, that React component. Essentially, what it's going to look like is I'm going to import whatever component from source components, whatever component it is, and then just kind of throw everything inside of Browser Router. Browser Router comes in from React Router. So I want to get React Router inside of my React app. So I'm going to kill the server, copy this, and then basically call out to npm to install React Router DOM inside of my package.json. Let's take a look at what it looks like right now. We see that we have a bunch of dependencies right here. We have Bootstrap, React Bootstrap. We need React Router DOM, which we somehow already have, but we'll just to be absolutely certain, we will download this. While we're waiting, just like for everything else, we're going to basically grab a bunch of imports of what we need. Now, when we were doing things inside of Rails, you may have noticed that everything was require relative up top. Like everything was required for you, so you never had to require it ever again, right? And unfortunately, React does not have that same kind of functionality where it's like implicitly going to require everything. And it both has like positive implications and negative implications. The negative is that you have to require everything yourself. The positive thing is you're not going to reveal anything to anybody else that you're not supposed to have. So I'm going to move this line 7 up to line 2. for no other reason than just because I want all these first two lines are just libraries brought in from other places, and lines 3 through 7 are just code that I've written myself. Let's see if this is finished. Fantastic. Do npm start. Everything should look more or less the same. Cool, everything looks the same. Inside of our app, we're going to have 2 routes in our return. So I'm going to grab this here and just throw it in this piece of code. So I'm going to move the nav up top. I want it rendered on every single page. So I will get rid of this. And then all of this stuff can go away. So let's kind of reread what we've done. Let's actually just go back to what it was before. So this is the code that is going to take care of all of our routing for us. As of right now, everything is wrapped around browser router to make sure that like React is using React routing. And as of right now, we had that ugly like article component, teaser component, article like nav component. We don't need any of that anymore. What we have now is an app nav that's going to show up at the top of every single page. We're going to have, and we now have 2 things. We have this route exact path, which will basically says anytime that we make a request to slash or just homepage or nothing, the component that's going to take care of it is going to be this homepage component that we talked about a little bit earlier when Alex asked. This homepage component has a whole bunch of things for itself, but basically it's just going to list out this list of articles. So again, when I make a request to slash, the homepage component is going to take care of it. You find that under source pages, homepage right here. That's going to create just a list of articles. So if all goes well, we can see a bunch of stuff broken. All right. So we'll fix this one by one, and we'll get there. So app.js, this first one says article teaser is defined but never used. So same thing with article. And if you go back to app.js, you can see that I'm importing article teaser and article, but I'm never using it again. Like this is all the times that it shows up. So this can go away. Same thing with this article. You can see I'm not actually rendering a list of article, like an actual article component on this page anymore, even though the word article is showing up a number of times, so I can get rid of that. And then those 2 warnings go away. And then when you go into app.js, it says homepage is not defined and article page is also not defined. Homepage and article page are right here. So I'm going to need to import, let's see. So it says that I'm using homepage and article page, and it doesn't know where to come from. So I'm going to do import homepage from whatever, and then import article page. All right, I'm going to leave it up to you all to basically tell me how do I get from app.js into these 2 files right here relative to where I am right now.
Which 2?
So here I am. I'm here at app.js. I need to get to these 2 files. It is slightly indented, yeah. So it's underneath pages, and it looks like pages is at the same level as app.js.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I got // Go ahead.
Pages.
Mm-hmm.
And then whichever.
Okay.
I guess both, right? So
Yep. I'm gonna grab this, put it here, and same thing with article page. Let's go back over here. Does it work? All right, we got something. It's not pretty, but we got something. Right now, we just have the navigation bar up at the top, and then no article list underneath. I don't like that. So we're going to go inside of the inspect, jump into the console, and see what we have. Okay.
Define article list?
What's that?
Ever define article list?
Did we ever define article list? Not in this page. In this one, we do have article list.
Oh, there we go.
But let's just kind of read through this. What do we have here? So they're all warnings. we need a return. Boo. Return nothing. That's interesting.
Doesn't need to be inside of JavaScript curlies.
It's already returned on there.
There's already a
It's just
return.
a div. It's just returning the word. Word.
Maybe I move this here and move that down. I'm not sure. We will troubleshoot this together. So the word return is now gone. Okay. So you said to put it in the curly braces, John. Why did you say that?
That's something I can't realize it's JavaScript.
Yeah, it could be. You're actually correct. Yeah. Actually, you're actually correct. So right now, this is nothing. Like this is, yeah, this is not being evaluated. This is just being evaluated as HTML. You're correct. Yeah, that's good. Please show up. Do something. Give me something on the screen. Article is defined but never used. News is defined but never used. Unexpected. Let's see.
It's in the article list function. Or whatever that component is.
Oh, gee. I'm stupid. There we go. Oh, no, that's right. Wait a second, I'm confused now. Home page. Return article list, and then article list returns article teaser.
That's just console log.
Yeah, let's actually just console log that we have a bunch of stuff. So the home page goes to article list. We go down to article list. Let's just see what we have. So we'll console log this.props.articles just to see what shows up on the screen. So we refresh the page. We do see that I have 40 different articles. That looks good to me. I like that. And then I'm going to iterate over each one of these articles. Do not see the issue here. I'm just going to grab all this. I don't think I changed anything. Props.handle title click, article.title, article tag. Okay. I don't know what the difference was between what I just typed in. Between these two, I have an article and an article plus one. I'm guessing this article plus one is, they're not happy with this article plus one, this index plus one. So I can do that, get rid of view. Are you kidding? It's that. Yep, that's what it was. There's the curly braces around here. So remember we have a, yeah, this is not supposed to be wrapped in curly braces. It was, is what it was, yeah. It's an arrow function which doesn't require curly braces unless you're interpolating out something. So this works. We now have all of this stuff right here. So now we have a gross like nav bar up at the top, and we have an article list component which consists of small article teasers.
Can you go back to the other page? That you just, is it because you didn't return it explicitly?
No, it's because I wrapped this in
I
these
mean, if
curly
you wrapped it
braces.
in there and then did a return statement, and then put that in front in, and what's it called?
You're already
Images.
running
I
a
can't
return
have a
statement.
return within a return. Like I can't have a return here and a return here. I'm pretty sure I cannot. Well, let's try it. I mean, what did you say?
Maybe return all that whole thing right there.
In a curly brace?
Not curly, but in,
Just like this?
like normal. Yeah, I don't know if you can. Yeah, that's fine. That should work.
Okay. It's interesting.
It wasn't explicitly returning anything. So.
Yeah.
But at that point, if you're returning one line of code, the cleaner way to do it is not to have an explicit return and not to have curly braces.
Yeah.
The first line of the first curly brace. I think is the-
This one. And I can get rid of this. Cool. All right, so now I got to this point. Again, giant nav bar at the top, and then an article list component full of article teasers. Finish that. All right, let's take a look at the actual articles themselves. So if I click on all of this right now, it doesn't do anything because I'm preventing default from happening as of right now. If I click on each individual one, I'm just saying use React routers history.push. We're going to get to that in a little bit. So we have, if you go back to app.js, you look down here, we have two paths. One of them is going to take us to slash, and the other one is going to be slash articles slash whatever article ID. So if I go to slash articles slash 1, I should get to some sort of article page as of right now. We haven't wired it up yet, so we go to articles 2, so on and so forth. We'll get there. We haven't gotten there quite yet. If we take a look, it says article page is going to be handled. Like when I go to slash articles slash 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the component that's going to handle it is going to be this article page right here. As of right now, all it says is just article page. Nothing fancy shows up on the screen. Your choice. Do you want to do the homepage component or the article page component first? Do you want this to show up, or do you want to do the homepage? So two options. One is I can actually go visit slash article slash 1 and it show the actual article itself, or when I click any one of these links, something will actually happen. It's your call. They can be operated. They can work independently of each other. Homepage. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, we're mostly complete with this right now. Right now, it's just a giant nav bar, an article list component, which consists of article teaser components underneath that. Basically, what's happening at this point is that when I click this, I want to actually take me to some sort of page, but instead, all it's showing me is to do, use React router's history.push method to change the page. Basically, what's happening is that when you click on something, React router has a lot of stuff built in. Basically, one of them is called this.props.history. So let me jump over here. Inside the page.js. So app.js is the first thing that's loaded. When I make a request to slash, it takes me to homepage, which takes me to this point right here. And you can kind of see I'm passing in a handle title click down into the article list. And as of right now, all it's doing is console logging this to-do thing out to the screen. Instead of doing this, I don't think I need this. I want to push like the article's ID into this.props.history. I'm just going to do this.props.history. And the reason I have these curly braces is because I'm interpolating code here. Push /articles/article ID. So when I refresh the page, when I click something, it's taking me to the actual article itself. Now, if we console log, like, what is this.props.history? So we'll do that right here. Console.log this.props. All right, so this is what this.props looks like right now. Because we have React Router, we have something called history that's built in for free for us. When we click on history and we do this.props.history.push, you can basically just push in you can push in where you want to go next is essentially what's going to happen. So when I click on this link, basically what's going to happen is this React router is going to push the /ID into the list of things that they want to visit. If that kind of makes sense. So as of right now, we can push like this /article ID, and when I go there, it'll actually just take me to /article/1, /article/3, and you can see that each one of these articles does have their own individual ID, and it takes me to that specific page. And finally, we get to the point where we're doing the article page component. As of right now, each article page should render an article component. So if we go to article page, all it says is a div with article page on it. It's not really that useful for me. Instead, what I need to do is actually render an actual article out. So I know I'm going to need an article. Each article is going to have a title, created date, byline, and abstract. Okay. So I know I need to take care of all of this type of stuff. So I'm just going to do title equals nothing for now. Created date equals nothing. Byline equals nothing. Image equals nothing. But this says that this one will be a challenge. And then finally an abstract. I know I'm going to need to fill that in. All right, so I'm at this point. I need to get an individual article. So I know I'm going to need to do probably, oops. Article dot whatever, and I'm going to push all this stuff over here. All right, so now the issue remains, I don't have article being passed down from anything. I start with app.js. Whenever anybody visits article/whatever article ID, the article page component is loaded, which brings me here. And I need to create an article component from there. I know I'm going to need the title, the created that date, and the byline, all that kind of stuff, but it's not being passed down in props. How do I get the ID and then get it from news? So there's a couple things. First things first, I'm going to have a const called article ID. This.props. Let's just do this.props for now. Actually, let's just console this.props. And let us take this out for now. So we're here at article/7. We've console logged this.props. Under this.props, there's a match right here. And you can basically see that inside of match, there's a thing called params, which will give us the article ID that shows up here on the top. So when we were doing things inside of Rails, we had like params of like article ID or something like that. Do you remember this is how we grabbed it from the URL? React has something similar. We still have the ability to grab it from the URL using this .props.match.params article ID. So we just have to get from there, from up here to this 7 right here. For us, it's pretty easy. We're going to just have a const called article ID. It's going to be this .props.match. .params. I think it was article. Uh-oh, where'd it go? I think it was article ID.
Snake case. Is that something we created? Snake case.
Maybe. Let's see. Let's console log this .props, and then if all goes well, we can do console log article ID. Undefined. Okay, that's no good. So this .props.match.params.article ID. It looks like capital I and D. Okay, if all goes well, I will actually see 7. Let's go to 10, and 10 shows up. So we're good. So we've got the.
Sorry, for a normal website, they're loading the whole news JSON onto your computer before at a time.
So for like we're gonna get to this tomorrow. As of right now, we're only reading from a actual JSON like file here.
Yeah.
Right. So.
I mean, normal app will load all that text data as a JSON onto your computer. Is that essentially?
So, right, like that's what I'm saying. Like right now, we are just reading from a static file, right?
Okay.
But in reality, what's going to happen is they're going to make a request in the background to an API, and we get that response and then save it.
Okay.
And then when they need it, they will read from it.
So not just sending all the data.
No, they're not.
Like for instance, like all the front page news go to your website, and then if you click through like a section, it might do a request.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering where the speed of the React comes from. You're saying like all the data is loaded onto your site already, onto your browser. Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea behind React is like when I made the request to NatGeo, right, the Instagram.com/NatGeo, all of this stuff was loaded onto my page already. In the background, it's making a lot of requests to like whatever API is holding these particular small images on here, and it also keeps track of each one of those small images has a certain number of comments and things like that. If I want to learn more about it, I can click it, and then it'll make another request in the background, and then this is what shows up. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question. Yeah, kind of. Okay. All right, we'll get to the end of this. So we have our article ID, and we have all of this news. So let's just say const article is going to equal news of article ID, if I'm not mistaken. And then from here, we'll just do this. I'm going to get rid of this real quick. So we got the article ID from the URL. We found the article from this list of news things, and we're going to create an article component. Everything looks like it's good. Let's go back to this /home. Let's click on this first one. If all goes well, it'll take me to articles/1 and give me everything for going home to Fallujah. And instead, I got today in Mosul, which is the second one. So what's going on here?
It's that 0-1 thing.
It's that 0-1 thing again. So how do I fix this? Like, how do I get the right article that shows up to show up?
Subtract 1.
I could just subtract 1. So this will reload. And if I click this, it'll say going home to Fallujah. All right. Today in Mosul. German comedian. But if you notice, none of my images are showing up anywhere. And I did inform everyone that this was going to be a little bit of a challenge. So let's just look at console log article. Oh my God. Each one should have a unique key. Don't care. Let's. Oops. Okay, here we go. So inside of here, I'm looking for image, but image does not seem to exist in all of these key value pairs. Where do you think the image will live? Like what should I try to expand here? Multimedia? All right, we got an array of 5 things. The first thing has caption, copyright, format, height. I like this URL thing. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Cool. So there's our image. So we need to get from, so this whole thing is the article. I need to get from there into this URL here. So I'm going to do article.multimedia, did you say?
Yeah.
And that had an array of stuff. So I'm going to take the first one and then dot URL. All right, so that looks good. Let's go back to our home page. I got, as long as I have stuff, a rare survivor of Philippine drug raid. Let's just jump down here. 2 arrested in central Germany. Everything looks good. This final little bit is going to be style with Bootstrap, but I'm going to leave that one up to you. So by the end of today, we should have this page looking pretty nice. This whole top thing should be styled using Bootstrap, so we have React Bootstrap there. We should have a list of all of our article teasers, and then when I click on it, it should take me to a new page. Sound good? Any questions on anything?